Hello everybody, today I am going to make a video on what owning a abuse case horse or a horse that's never been touched entails. So I know that a lot of you are probably going to have, little girls, maybe, I don't know, but if you have a little girl and she wants a pony and she wants something really nice and expensive like a Frisian or a Gypsy Vanner or something like that, then I probably would not go for those types of horses or like a draft horse, because the Frisians, the Gypsy Vanners, the draft horses, they're all horses that take a little bit more work. Frisians, they are, not necessarily high-spirited, but they get really tall. They can be intimidating. So probably not a good first horse for really anyone, regardless of age. Same goes for the Gypsy Vanner. And when we come to draft horses, they get huge, bigger than the Frisians. And they, you have to correct bad behaviors with them from the beginning. Otherwise, it's just going to keep progressing, and they're never going to learn. They can be pushy. So like if you don't teach them not to push, then they're going to push. And they're just not a good horse for a little kid, or not a good horse as a first horse. Now, on to the topic of abuse cases and horses that have never been touched. In the many years that I've owned horses, at one point I got an abuse case, and he was a draft horse. He was a 17 hand Belgian, and he was an abuse case. The people that we got him from had got him from a rescue, and before the rescue got him, he was with this guy, this old elderly man, and the elderly man died, and then the elderly man's, I think, son or grandson or something like that, abused this horse, and hit him and all this other stuff when he wouldn't listen. So then when the people I got him from got him, they had a lot to deal with. Nobody could really get up to him, and they didn't really want to deal with it. So then I took him on. His name was Renegade, and I took him on. He was really scared. He didn't want to be touched. He didn't want you to put a halter on him. And I'm not talking didn't want to be touched on the face or didn't want to be touched on the legs. I'm talking being touched, period. So basically, go out and buy a baby and start over is basically what I had to do. So, I had to get him used to that, used to people. And I had to, get him to the point where he understood, it's okay, I'm not going to hurt you. You're fine, you're safe. And then I did eventually get him to the point where I could walk up to him and I could do pretty much anything with him. He was still jumpy, and that is understandable, to be jumpy after being abused and seeing new things. So when I would introduce new things to him, yes, he was jumpy, and depending on what it was would depend on how scared he was. So they are a lot of work when you get an abuse case, and depending on how bad of an abuse case you have, it can be a lot of work. You have to have a lot of patience. You have to be willing to give the horse some leeway, where, like, for instance, you go out, you buy a regular horse, okay? A horse, say 2-3-year-old, all right, say their halter broke, but that's it. All right, you go buy a regular horse, okay? And you start working with that horse, that horse starts to develop bad behaviors, and you correct them right away. You throw him in the round pen, you make him do a couple circles, things like that. With an abuse case, you have to be a little more lenient on that. With an abuse case, they might do something wrong, and you do not want to work them as hard as you possibly can the very first time they do something wrong. You want to tell them no, and you want to reprimand them, you still want to discipline them in some way, just not to the extent that you would a normal horse. And eventually as they get more comfortable with you, then you can work on more. But if you were to take an abuse case and you were to go right from the get-go when they do something wrong, if you were to work them really hard, and all that would scare them even more, because they'd be like, okay, well, when I'm with this person isn't much better because all they do is make me work. And essentially, they would end up being scared of you, and they would do everything you said because they would be scared of you, but you don't want your horse to be scared of you. You want your horse to be comfortable with you. So, abuse cases, they are a lot of work. You have to have patience. You can't just, expect the horse to trust you right away. You have to have patience. You have to be willing to deal with the horse. You have to be willing to start from ground zero. Okay? My horse Renegade that I had to start over on was 13 years old. Okay? And I got him, and I had to treat him as if he had just dropped on the ground after his mom gave birth to him. That's how I had to treat him, because he was so scared of everything. I eventually did have to get rid of him, because of issues at home and stuff, and I just, I couldn't deal with having an abuse case horse on top of everything else, so I eventually did have to get rid of him. But it takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of commitment, a lot of patience. If you're somebody who flies off the handle really easily, if it takes very little to piss you off, you do not want to go out and get an abuse case. You do not want to go out and get an abuse case for a little kid. You do not want to go out and get an abuse case for a first horse, okay? And, I've been working with horses for 17 years. So, I've been working with them for a while. And, so, abuse case is very, you really have to make sure that that's what you want to do with. You have to make sure that you're going to be able to commit to that. You have to be sure that you're going to be able to put in the work and the time and the effort to get that horse to trust you. Because otherwise, you're going to buy a horse and it's going to be a pasture pet. It's going to be a lawn ornament. Okay? You don't want that. So, an abuse case, you have to make sure that that's what you want. Now, moving on to a horse that has never been touched. Not necessarily an abuse case, but one that's just never been touched. You can't put a halter on it, you can't touch it, whatever, just because nobody's touched the horse since they were born. They are not as much work as an abuse case, but they are more work because you have to gain that horse's trust to put the halter on them. To do things with them, you have to gain that horse's trust. So that's another thing where you have to be patient, you have to be committed, and you have to be willing to put in the effort to get the horse to the point where you can touch him. And that's also not a good horse for a kid, especially if it's a baby. They are not good horses for kids because they're spunky when they're babies. They don't know any better when they're babies. So especially if it's a baby, you don't want them. You don't want a little kid having that as a first horse. Now, you could go out and buy one, if you're more of an adult. You could go up and buy one as your first horse, but it could be a bad experience for you. You could get the horse and you could go, well, this is way too much work. I don't want to deal with this. And it could be a really bad experience for you, and you don't want that. So you have to make sure that you're also willing to make that commitment. Right now, I have a Appaloosa filly. She is 9 months old, and she'd never been touched when I got her. I got her a week ago, okay? She had never been touched, okay? Not once. So when I got her, then she wouldn't let me touch her. She wouldn't, let you put a halter on her, obviously. She wouldn't let you do anything, okay? It took me 4 days to get her to the point. Sorry, there's a bug bothering me. It took me 4 days to get her to the point where I could walk up into her stall, put a halter on her, lead her out, and she's perfectly fine with it. She doesn't step away from me. She doesn't do anything like that, okay? It took me 4 days, okay? Now, with cases like that where, they've never been touched or whatever, you have to gain their trust. You have to work with them, and with an abuse case too, okay? With an abuse case or a case where the horse has never been touched, you can't go up there one day, work them for 4 hours, leave, not come back for 3-4 days, and then come back again and expect the horse to be somewhat better because you came up one day and did work. That horse had 3-4 days to think about that and think, okay, I don't know if I still trust this person, and it's going to take you forever at that rate to get the horse where you want to get him. It's going to take you absolutely forever, okay? You want to make sure that you are going out there every day to every other day to get that horse to the point where you want them to, where you can walk into their pen and you can grab them, okay? You know, you can't just leave them for a while. You know, it does not work that way. Going up there every day, going up there every other day, it's going to do a lot more for you, and it is going to help you and your horse build a relationship a lot quicker than going up every once a week, you know, or once every 2 weeks, okay? So, you know, you really have to be willing to make the commitment, okay? Now, my filly, her name is Autumn. She is, like I said before, an Appaloosa filly that's 9 months old, and she is doing very good. I still cannot do everything with her. Don't expect to halter break the horse and the horse be willing to do everything. That's not how it works. That horse is still going to be scared when you do certain things with it because it's never done them before. So if you halter break a horse and that horse lets you put the halter on it, don't get super excited because that horse could let you put the halter on it. You could take that halter off again and you could try to put it on, and it could be another 2-3 hour process of getting that halter back on that horse. You know, you have to, you know, you can't get overexcited like that because then your hopes are going to go down. And if you get overexcited, the horse is going to get excited and then it's not going to work. So you really have to take it slow. You can't get excited when you finally get a halter on that horse. For the first time, that horse is not going to let you do everything, okay? When I first got the halter on Autumn, my filly, I was happy that she let me put the halter on, but I did not get overexcited because I knew full well that she wasn't going to know how to lead. You know, she wasn't going to be like another horse where you could go up, clip them, you could start walking, and they just follow you. I knew she wasn't going to be like that, so I didn't get overexcited. I was happy that she let me put the halter on her, but I wasn't getting overexcited, okay? The next couple days, I worked on leading, giving the pressure, you know, things like that. So now, she leads better, and she does pretty well as far as the halter and the leading go, okay? So now I've got her to the point where I can walk in her stall. She might walk off from me a couple steps every now and then, but I can catch her really easily. So being I can catch her really easily, now I'm starting to work on other stuff. What is called desensitizing. Getting your horse used to all the things that you would do with another horse. Okay? You want to get that horse bob-proof. Okay? You want to get that horse to the point where nothing phases it, where you could do pretty much anything with that horse, and that horse isn't going to throw a fit. You want to get a horse to that point, you need to severely desensitize that horse. You need to take bags, put them on sticks, roll the bags all over their face, swish them in the air. You need to fling ropes around. You need to use whips. You need to use exercise balls. You need to use anything you could possibly think of. Swimming tubes. Anything you could possibly think of that might scare your horse. Anything with loud noise. For instance, if you wanted to desensitize them to loud noises, for instance, if you wanted to put your horse in a parade, you want to desensitize them to loud noises. So things like an air horn, firing a gun off their back, things like that. A cap gun maybe to start out with, things like that are going to get them used to the noise. You have to do a ton of that to get them to the point where not much bothers them. And then, you don't only do noise, you have to do the physical contact too, okay? You want to make sure you could go under your horse's belly, and I mean like, climb under your horse's belly to get on the other side of them. You want to make sure you can touch all the way down their legs, go around their butt. You want to make sure you can stand behind them and they're not going to do anything. You want to make sure that horse is really, really prepared before you do anything like a parade or a show, or anything with them. You really want to make sure, with horses that aren't trained or have been abused, it takes longer. It's more work, but it's worth it in the end, and you create a much bigger bond with them. But like I said, not for a beginner, okay? Not for a beginner, not for little kids, okay? my mom, she has an Appaloosa, okay? Her name is Moon. She's foundation, which means that in her bloodlines, if you go back, it's solid Appaloosa versus being crossed with some other breed. So she is foundation, and she is one of the calmest horses I've ever met. She is 5 years old, and my mom has had her since she was a year, I believe. So we've had her, my mom's had her for quite a while, and she is one of the calmest horses I know. You can fling a rope over her head, she doesn't care. You can walk under her, she doesn't care. You know, you can climb up on her bareback and she'll just sit there like whatever, and she'll just continue eating. Okay, she's one of the calmest horses I know. But would I sit there and shoot a gun off of her back? Probably not, because it would scare her. I would shoot a gun off the ground first. You know, she's a good horse. Okay, she doesn't spook at a lot, but she is still going to spook at things, and you know, she's going to still spook at things. You have to be careful still. You know, she's a very good horse, though. She's very calm. She's very mellow, not aggressive at all. You know, and my mom has had her rough times and her good times with her. Everybody has that with their horse. You know, we trotted her for the first time, almost a month ago now. We trotted her for the first time. We cantered her for the first time. Okay, I got her into a canter. When I got her into a canter, she freaked out because the saddle slid a little bit. So she freaked out and she took off at a full run. Okay, she didn't buck me off. She didn't do anything like that, but she took off at a full run. Okay, well, when she took off at a full run, the saddle slid halfway down her body. So the saddle slid halfway down her body. I could not grab onto the reins to pull her back. So she was going full out. She was able to run as fast as she could. Okay, then she decided to basically make a 90-degree turn. Okay, when she did that, I fell off of her because it was so sudden. Okay, and so you have your good times and you have your bad times with horses. It happens. Okay, but like I said before, an abuse case or a case where the horse has never been trained or anything is never good for a beginner or a little kid. You know, I mean, it's not. So this is just a video of talking a little bit about you know, how a beginner is not good for a horse that's never been trained or an abuse case, and to kind of stay away from that until they've been around horses more, they're more frequent with them, or until they're older. You know, so this was just a little video about that. Sorry that it was probably pavement the entire time. This is my yard. I'm at my house right now and I bored my horses out, so I couldn't show any of my horses. But I am going to be uploading a video tomorrow. Hopefully. What are you doing?
Oh, they're opening.
What are you doing? Okay, never mind.
They're opening.
Yeah, fun.
I knew they were going to open soon before we left. I didn't think they were going to open up today, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so I will be uploading a video tomorrow of the horses, and I will show you on my filly some things that she still doesn't like, and you know, things on that. I will show you the two horses, the differences, you know, all of that tomorrow in my video. So please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.